Okay, get it together. Get it together.
What's up, what's up? What's up, what's up, what's up? Ladies! What's up, what's up? What's up, what's up, what's up?
What's up, cousins? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I call all my subscribers my cousins. So if you are an OG cousin, you may remember that I did a video similar to this last year, and basically it was rounding up all my favorite books from 2018. I gave myself a goal of 24 books or 2 books per month, and I actually surpassed that goal, went all the way reading somewhere like 34 books that year. And so I wanted to create a video and share with you guys some of my favorites, and also share with you guys how you could keep track of all the books I read over the year. Favorite fiction book of the year was by far and large The Hate You Give. It is by Angie Thomas, and of course you guys have heard of this book because it has been turned into a movie. You guys seem to really enjoy that video, those of you who enjoy reading, and you actually even asked if I could do videos more often instead of once a year, so I am considering that as well. Now I will go ahead and say that I am somewhat of like a book snob, an actual physical book, a turn the page snob. So I am one of those people who enjoy having a physical copy in my hands, and then more recently last year I enjoyed reading ebooks because I can still get the satisfaction of actually turning the page. I will say for 2020, I've gotten into listening to a lot more audiobooks, so stay tuned this year for me giving you both audiobooks and physical book recommendations. But these books, I just, want to pat myself on the back, honey, because sis sat her ass down and read these books, okay? In each category, I'm going to try to give you guys 1 or 2 of my favorites in those categories. So if you are an avid reader, or you are somebody who is just looking for a couple of good titles to read to start your year out, grab a snack, grab a pen, and get ready to take notes. So the first category that we're going to tackle is self-improvement. Have a New You by Friday. What I really liked about this book is that it delved more into your childhood and your birth order, and used that as one of the determining factors for how your personality develops and who you are. So if you were born first out of 3 siblings, you tend to have very similar personalities to other firstborns, like in your friendship circle or whatever. Same thing with middle children and youngest children, so on and so forth. And I found it really interesting, and I did find striking similarities in myself being a firstborn with a lot of the personality traits and characteristics that he said firstborns had in the book. So we're gonna move on to nonfiction. And for me, the nonfiction type of titles I usually read are biographies and autobiographies. I saved this book specifically for 2019, even though it came out towards the end of 2018, simply because I wanted to start my year off with this book, Becoming by Michelle Obama. At this point, it is still, I feel like, probably still in the top sellers list. It is still in the top recommendations. It is still sitting in the front of the shelves in a lot of the bookstores that I go. She now has come out with a Becoming journal to accompany the book. So this is a very popular book. This is a very well received book, and it did not disappoint. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. A second quick, but I feel like definitely mention worthy title in the autobiography category is From Darkness to Light by Lamar Odom. Now this is going to be one of those kind of memoirs that is a little bit grittier than, you know, say The Becoming by Michelle Obama, just because really what his book does is just kind of take you through from childhood to the point where he wrote the book, and he just kind of gives you the real backstory of what actually happened, what he was thinking, and things that led up to those moments. So if you are somebody who is maybe a Lamar Odom fan, or you're somebody who, you know, just was following that kind of stuff that was going on in the blogs during the time, I feel like you would really enjoy this read. Or if you're just somebody who likes to read about, or think it's interesting to read about people struggling with addiction and how they overcome that, I do think it is a very powerful read in that way. I will say that I did only give this book, I think, 3 stars in Goodreads, simply because at the end of the book I felt like a lot of it was kind of rushed and kind of thrown in and put together. A lot of things that maybe he had contracts with the people, whoever published the book or who was giving him this book deal, like, hey, you need to make sure that you cover this because people want to know, and that's why we gave you the book deal. Now moving on to last but certainly not least, probably my favorite category of all time, which is fiction, only because so many things fall under the umbrella of, you know, fiction writing. You have African American fiction, which I love reading good African American novels, typically like, you know, relationshipy type books and things like that. That's kind of how I first dipped my toe into reading novels as I became a teenager and an adult. But then you also have things like sci-fi and fantasy titles, which I also enjoy. If you follow me over on Goodreads, you know, like, anything under the sun, if it sounds interesting to me in the synopsis or the summary of the book, I will read it. I'm pretty much non-discriminatory. I like historical fiction, and most recently last year I discovered that I love a psychological thriller. Absolutely just fell down this wormhole of reading tons of psychological thrillers. So that is why I'm going to start off my recommendation with this book, which is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Behind Closed Doors is truly one of those titles that has you thinking and will have you up at night thinking about it for days to come. The second book that I'm gonna recommend in fiction is a book that I just feel like not enough people know about, and a lot of people would enjoy, again, especially if you are a fiction reader and if you're into African American fiction and titles by African American authors. The Delusion of Cinderella is actually written by Kim Whitley. So if you recognize the name but may not be able to put a face with the name, Kim Whitley is our, you know, celebrity auntie, celebrity cousin that also has a doppelganger in Jack A. Harry. And then, you know, you always see those collages and pictures pop up of the two of them together, and it being like, all my life I thought this was the same person. That is Kim Whitley, and I actually follow her on social media, and I can tell them apart because I really love them individually each, so I know who they are. So she is somebody I follow on social media, and when she announced that she had written a book, I definitely wanted to read it. And when I read the summary and read that it was actually like a novel, like a fiction, it wasn't like an autobiography type of thing, which is usually what you kind of expect. And then last but not least, you guys know I always end up giving you guys like a bonus title. I still feel like it's worthy of the mention, even though I didn't put it in my favorites list. And this year I am going to give the bonus video to our good girl Queenie. So if you have read this book, then you probably feel where I'm coming from when I say our good girl Queenie, just because when you read this book, you absolutely resonate with the character of Queenie, and you kind of feel kind of protective, even though you want to wring Queenie's neck a little bit. You really feel protective of her because Queenie is like our sister. You know, you may read that and Unfortunately, I may say, find a little bit of you, maybe in your youth or reckless behavior. You may see a little bit of Queenie in yourself. If you don't, if you aren't real enough to see a little bit of Queenie in yourself, you know, Queenie may be your cousin, Queenie may be your sister, Queenie may be your crazy auntie. I feel like everybody either has a Queenie in their life or has gone through a Queenie stage in her life. But like I was saying in the beginning of this video, I literally read so many good books last year, books that I just wanted, needed, would love to talk to other people about. So if you are somebody who is an avid reader, or you're somebody who wants to get into reading and just need some really good books to get you started, like I was saying earlier in this video, you always can add me on Goodreads. Goodreads is a great place for bookworms to unite. So after you finish this video, after you subscribe to my channel, after you leave in the comment section below what your favorite books are, if you've read any of these books, or if you have some book suggestions that you think I would enjoy, make sure that you add me over on Goodreads. You can easily find me by searching Finally Amber. So that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see all you guys in the next upload.